Father Joe, thank you so much for taking some time today to reflect on your time here at the Cathedral as it's starting to wrap up and come to a close.
Yes.
So let's start here. You were ordained a little over 2 years ago. So you've been a priest for 2 years.
May 28th was my second priesthood anniversary. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
In those 2 years, what have you discovered about yourself? Maybe what have you discovered about Joe Wagner? And then what have you discovered about like who Father Joe is?
I guess just from feedback and just kind of living this for a couple of years, one thing that people have mentioned to me is they recognize that I'm a decent communicator, So whether that's like homilies or just conversations about the faith, meeting with someone, talking about the faith, teaching, RCIA or Bible studies, going to give a talk here or there, youth group, whatever it might be. They say a pretty good communicator, especially sometimes taking, some difficult things about the faith and trying to make them somewhat digestible. So that was very humbling to receive that feedback. And then what I've noticed, and I guess I didn't recognize this so much about myself, even in seminary, was like being a connector. You come into a place enormous like this, there's a million things going on. And so I just found that, a lot of people are just waiting to be invited into something more or waiting to be engaged in a particular way. So I tried my best to say, hey, maybe you should try this ministry, or hey, have you ever thought about this, or whatnot. And so I liked doing that, connecting different people in different ministries and coming up with better ways to serve this beautiful community here. So those are two ways in particular that I've seen the Lord kind of work through me, like communication and connecting people.
In my own experience, I would say those have been true too. You're a very approachable person, and I think you do a good job of making our faith, approachable, connecting people to
Thank
that.
you.
So obviously you spent a long time in seminary, 7 years, correct?
7 years, yeah.
A lot of preparation, prayer, learning. But with that in mind, did anything surprise you after becoming a priest?
Well, like you said, it is a long process. And like even before that, like I was wrestling and discerning the call. But yeah, 7 years is a long time, a lot of beautiful formation. So yeah, first and foremost, I'm very grateful to the Lord and everyone who made it possible for the formation that I received. So I did, I felt very prepared as I stepped in to start priestly ministry. Now, you don't know everything. You don't know okay, cool. Yeah, I know the answer to that. Cool, I know how to do this. But I did feel very prepared. So there was a certain comfort and a peace there. Maybe, I guess, surprise. And one thing that I recognized and noticed was how gracious people have been and responsive to, not me, not Father Joe, but to the priesthood of Jesus Christ, reaching out and thanking me for my vocation, but then saying, hey, Father, do you have time to talk? I need help with this. Can you provide me guidance, this or that? So I've been, it was very overwhelming in a beautiful way of how responsive people are to the priesthood of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Obviously, God, is working through all of us. He's working all the time. But and you in particular, calling you to priesthood, going through seminary. But I imagine He's still opening your eyes to things
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Can you think of any particular moment that was an aha moment, or God kind of revealing something to you?
Sure. Like I said, you're prepared, but you don't really know what's going to come every day. And the Lord is working and doing things right before your eyes every single day. One of the most profound things about the priesthood, obviously, you get to celebrate Mass at the altar. And then hearing confessions is a pretty unique thing. So I guess one story just is coming to my mind since we're here. So before I entered seminary, I worked down in Midtown at an accounting firm. And so I would come here for daily Mass every now and then, and for confession every now and then. Some people might remember Father Morrow. He's passed away a few years ago, but he was in the confessional this morning. I went in there and I did my confession, and he kind of gave me some counsel. And I don't know exactly how he said it, but basically he said, I know you're discerning the priesthood in one way or another. And I was like, I had never met the guy in my life.
Yeah. And you didn't mention that?
No, I've been wrestling with this calling for at least 2 years at the time. Didn't say anything about that. And he made note of it and saying hey, I kind of know you're discerning the priesthood. And I was like, why would you say that? Yeah. He goes, and I think, I think you could do that. You're going to be sitting where I'm sitting one day. And I was like, what is happening right now? This guy's never met me before. And so I went on my way. So then I'm literally sitting in the same chair that he's sitting in, being able to counsel people and extend God's mercy to them. So that's pretty powerful, especially in the seat of the confessional, being able to reconcile people to our Father. So
I love those full circle moments that God brings about. Yeah. Can you think of any other, just profound experiences? Obviously, I know priests, it's like every normal Tuesday is profound in certain
But I mean,
ways.
in your first few years, it's like, okay, I remember that was the first time that I did that, confession or mass or whatnot. Yeah. And I remember one of my first calls to go visit the hospital was a pretty serious situation, actually. The person was about to pass away. And so I enter into the room to pray and give her last rites. And all the families there, very emotional, crying. But to step in there and to celebrate the sacraments and give her the Lord. And basically, like, you're preparing someone to meet Jesus Christ face to face. Pretty amazing. But just to see the peace that kind of came over the room. Yes, there were still emotions. People were still very emotional and distraught. Their loved one is about to pass away. But just like the power of the sacraments, you step in there and get to celebrate that and be with them and pray with them. And so that was a very profound moment to recognize the power of God working through the sacraments.
Yeah. So I've always kind of thought priests as like superheroes almost. It's like, do you ever feel that sense of, not like a superhero, but just like, what is that like being like a vessel of Jesus in that moment and like bringing the sacraments? I mean, do you ever like feel yourself like, whoa, this is crazy?
I see what you're saying. Every now and then, like that moment was like very profound of like, whoa, we can like very palpably sense God working this way. I mean, we're all vessels of Jesus, but yes, like in a unique way, the ordained priest there's a unique instance of that, of God's working and his powers. So if I'm living the priesthood well, like hopefully, like I will incarnate God's love in a particular way and people will respond to that. And so certain times, in all my brokenness and weakness, of people like thanking me and, oh my gosh, this was amazing, that homily or that advice or just like the way I carry myself, I'm like, whoa, even in all my weakness and brokenness, like people still see that. People like recognize that, even in all of my brokenness. So, yeah.
All right, so you were just talking about these, profound experiences that you've had as a priest. Let's go a little lighthearted. Did you have any moments that you can think of that was like particularly like embarrassing or like stress-inducing or anything like that?
So I remember the first funeral that I ever did, and it was a pretty heavy situation. It was kind of a tragic situation, and so I am a little bit nervous, all things considered. And so I remember beginning the funeral liturgy. It's going well, opening prayers, readings. I get up there to read the gospel and everyone sits down and I'm getting ready to preach and I reach over on the ambo and my homily is not there. And I'm like, okay, it must be under this book.
Oh, no.
So kind of look under there, nope, can't find it. And I'm like, okay. Then I start, getting a little stressed out because I was just thinking, like, I cannot just like go on the fly here. I can't just make up a homily at this funeral, this very tragic situation. So I kind of turned to the altar server. I'm like, hey, where'd you put my homily? It was right here. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, it was right here. So I sent him into the back sacristy to look. And he comes out, he can't find it. And so it felt like it was 10 minutes just sitting there. These people were just waiting. It was probably a good 3 to 4 minutes. Yeah. And finally, I find the homily underneath the stool that we use for lectors that want to step on it. So, I mean, beautifully the Lord worked through it because kind of gave people a good laugh. It was kind of a chuckle and provided a lighthearted moment in a very serious, heavy, tragic situation. So,
well, and I can imagine you were sweating because you're like, first funeral, I can wing a homily, daily mass maybe, but like funeral, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you don't want to wing it in that situation.
Can you think of any particularly like unusual thing that happened?
Unusual, like strange or?
I guess, different? Like strange or different or like something that just somebody doing most 9-to-5s probably wouldn't experience.
Sure. I mean, this place never sleeps, so there's always something going on here. This one is actually very recent, so it's probably why it's coming to my mind. I came one morning. I was about to celebrate the 6:45 Mass, and I get there. a little bit early to prepare, and I see that there was cremains, someone's cremated remains in front of the church where I was about the door to walk in. I said, oh, okay, this is interesting. Well, I guess I should kind of take this inside. And, we believe in the dignity of human life. Everyone deserves a proper burial. And so I said, well, what am I going to do with this? And there was some information on there. And so Bill, the sacristan, he kind of took it upon himself very graciously to kind of try to track down the family. Couldn't really find the family. And so it's kind of an ongoing thing. And so the remains of this woman, she lived with us in our sacristy for a few weeks before we finally found a way to give her a proper burial. So
somebody had just left it?
Yeah, and I guess maybe, thanks be to God that someone said, well, I don't know what to do, so I'll give it to a church. And so they'll know what to do. And I guess we have the responsibility to give someone that proper burial.
Let's talk about the priests, the other priests.
Okay.
So obviously you've been working with them as co-workers and as roommates for the last couple of years. What have you learned about Monsignor, Father Juan Carlos, just anything that we might not get to see being on this side of it?
Well, that's we got to keep our secrets here.
Oh, sure.
No, I'm kidding. No, honestly, it's been one of the greatest gifts for me. As starting the priesthood. So I knew Father Juan Carlos for a while. We were in seminary together. So that was actually a great joy, getting ordained together and then starting at the same parish. That was very unique. So we kind of got to just learn together and doing this together, side by side. In general, like I said, one of the greatest gifts, the community and the fraternity that we had was wonderful. Because priesthood is a pretty unique thing, and it tendency sometimes to kind of live it in an isolated way. And so for us, we got along very well. We had lunch together most days, which was a great gift, just sharing about what's going on in the parish, just sharing life, just enjoying it together.
You mentioned Monsignor cultivating that community. Have you taken anything these past couple of years from Monsignor?
Oh my
not
gosh.
Literally, not stealing out of his room, but just learning and watching him and being with him for 2 years.
A million things. He probably wouldn't want me to get really sappy and say, oh my gosh, this is all these things I appreciate about Monsignor. He would probably joke with me and say, all right, very funny. Yeah, give it a rest. But honestly, it's been incredible to learn from him. He's been a priest for, 28 years, I think, maybe 29. And so I admire so many things about him, but maybe I'll just hone in on one thing because I don't want to go on and on. He would make fun of me for that. I think that he has this beautiful gift of balancing the pastoral side of priesthood and the administrative side of priesthood, which is kind of necessary, and not everyone can do that well. And so he is a priest first and foremost. He answers the call whenever people need him. He's very pastoral. He can be with people and care for them and entering into their lives. He's preaching and caring for them, weddings, funerals, all that. But then there's the administrative side of running. This is probably the biggest parish we have in the archdiocese and probably one of the biggest in the country. Yeah. And he has this unique gift of being able to run it, putting the right people in the right places, because you can't do it all on your own as a priest. So there's this unique balance that I've really just observed, and I hope to be able to live that well as I continue as a priest.
Let's talk a little bit more about Christ the King specifically, and I'm trying to get you a little nostalgic here, Father Joe.
Don't do it to me.
Just tell us
enough.
A couple things that you might miss about this place.
Oh, a couple things. That is tough. I could list a bunch. Literally everything. I think just Sunday masses. That's one of my favorite things. It's just Sundays for me. That was the best day of the week. Just celebrating mass and then entering into conversations and hanging out with people. The school, definitely gonna miss the school. I loved coming down here for carpool or whatever it was, any kind of event. We did our priest versus 8th grader basketball game, which was fun. The whole school loved that.
I've heard legends of those.
Yeah. We're just popping in the classroom and saying, hey, I went on the 8th grade retreat with them both years I was here. That was very special, but definitely gonna miss all the people here that I've entered into relationships with. That's a few things that I'm gonna miss.
What do you think makes the cathedral particularly special or unique? Or maybe if there's anything you think we do particularly well here?
one thing that comes to my mind is just like the synergy between everything that happens. And there's a lot that happens. And so, and it's hard to like make all that flow together. And Monsignor and our staff do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to make that flow. I think one thing I noticed is the relationship between the school and the parish is very healthy. Not every place you go, there's going to be this great relationship and synergy. Whereas we come down here, Monsignor and I, Father Juan Carlos, we just come hang out. We go to carpool. We just walk through the schools, and like it's very normal. It's very natural. Yeah. And so, building up the parish and having that relationship allows people to get more involved in the parish itself and grow in their faith. The preschool has been unbelievable. Jolene's done an awesome job with that, with all the support from Monsignor and the staff of building that up. And I've seen so many people to where they enroll their kid in the preschool and they're like, okay, yeah, I probably need to like start, growing in my faith a little more. And so we connect them and they start getting more involved in the church. So that's just one thing that comes to mind. It's just a synergy between all of the different ministries that we have going on here.
Thinking about all the different ministries we have, and I know that there's always new ministries starting and serving different groups. Do you have any hopes for just our parish and the parishioners, like as we continue to grow?
Funny thing is that the way I'm wired is I just have a lot of ideas, and I'm like, oh, hey, we could do this. And sometimes it's funny. Some of the staff, we would kind of joke about like, all right, relax, Brother Joe. We got to just take a rest. We got a lot of things going on here. But I just like, maybe we could do this and get people involved that way. But I think it's just necessary to always be thinking about it, because we have literally hundreds of people that come here, new people, almost every week, definitely every month. There's new people coming here. This is just the place to be. Like, people love this parish, right? And so I think we constantly have to be thinking of ways to get people involved, get people connected. What different ministries should we be, pointing people to? And I don't know, one last idea that we've already kind of got rolling is just a very basic hospitality ministry to be that face, even if it's just greeters at the front door, just saying, hey, hello, how you doing? Welcome, come on in. And you don't have to pitch anything, but it's just say, hey, how you doing? Welcome, we're glad you're here. And then maybe eventually you can say, hey, are you involved in anything? Provide ways to get things. Because when you walk in, I've talked to so many people, it's like, I don't even know how to get started here, get involved. And so having those point people to say, oh, hey, yeah, we actually have coffee and donuts this morning, come to that. And so that's just one thing that we're getting going, the hospitality ministry. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that.
Will do. Why do you think God brought you here as your first assignment?
Wow. So for us, we don't really know where we're going to go. That's kind of the beauty of this promise, of obedience, that you kind of send you where they need you. They try to make it a good match. And I do think that, a general answer is that it's a good fit. God obviously knows that I love playing golf, and so I was very spoiled here to play a lot of golf. But I made so many great relationships by doing that. I played with so many of our parishioners here. But I think, it was a good fit. I think that I brought good energy and an enthusiasm here. There's so many people here, and I feel like that's a gift that I have. I try to be very present, very available, and I tried to be around, and I think that there was already so many good things going on here, but there's always so many people walking through this door, and I feel like I have that capacity to engage a lot of people.
You mentioned how there's just so many people that come in through these doors, and that this is just such a big and bustling parish. Mm-hmm. In what ways has the Cathedral, being your first assignment, prepared you for your next assignment, or just in general, like becoming a pastor? Yeah,
like I mentioned earlier, I feel very prepared in my seminary formation, but also being here, I felt very prepared. You see everything here. We have everything going on here. You see how it should be done, in my opinion. There's so many very gifted people here on staff, and you see everything. You see the possibilities and how things should be done. And so I think that's a very good preparation to step in and be an administrator, a pastor. I feel like I've received a lot, and so I can take that, and I feel very comfortable going on to be an administrator as a pastor, so I can kind of lead a parish, because I've seen how it can be done in a very good, effective way. And so hopefully I'll bring a little bit what I've learned here to my parish in the future.
Any final thoughts, well wishes, gratitude, sentiments you want to share with us?
I could talk for hours about that. I couldn't ask for anything better. From the moment I walked in the door, people welcomed me, and it's very humbling. I feel very loved, especially as I'm leaving all the notes and the cards and the calls and all of the farewell parties and dinners and lunches. I just thank you to everyone. I think I mentioned this a little bit ago. Of your first assignment is very precious. It means a lot as you step into the priesthood, and so honestly, I couldn't have asked for anything better. I mean, it was perfect. It was perfect. I learned so much. I met so many wonderful people. I grew as a man. I grew as a disciple. I grew as a priest. And so I just pray that the Cathedral is able to continue to be the vibrant, wonderful community that it is.
Well, on behalf of the Cathedral, we're all very grateful that we've had you the past couple years, and we'll be praying for you and look forward to seeing you when you come back around.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, be assured of my prayers for you all as well.